The new Porsche 911 GT3R race car is here in Forza Horizon 5. It's that time of the week again where we look at the brand new addition to the game. The third Porsche that's been added here in Porsche Month is this 911 GT3R. So I'm going to quickly show you how to get it, what's going on with the backstage pass this week, and then test it against some other 911 stock before seeing what upgrades and customization is available at the festival and taking it into some Horizon Open. As is often the case with brand new additions to Forza Horizon 5, all you have to do to unlock it is complete 20 points over here in the festival playlist this week, which will be available until the middle of the day, roughly on next Thursday, when you will then be able to go and unlock the 935 and the new 911 Turbo over here. This week though, it's the 911 GT3R, and as you can see, to gain my 20 points, I've completed the trial, the speed traps, the Trailblazer, the photo challenge, and the 2 monthly rivals at the beginning of the series. Let's quickly back out of here then, and head across over to the Cars tab to see what's available in the backstage shop. What have they added from the vote last week? The Jaguar XKRS GT, and an old Toyota. This week we can vote for either the Valkyrie Ammer and the 20 MG 6 or the Ford GT and the Hyundai Elantra. I'm kind of quite tempted to just abstain from this one because I don't particularly want another of any of those. Maybe Ford GT race car. Maybe. Let's go with that, just so that we have voted. This new GT3R is pretty much a 911 GT3 race car, essentially a newer version of this 911R, which was part of a paid car pack a while ago, containing 7 copy and pasted cars from Forza Horizon's American cousin, Forza Motorsport. This new one though is heavier, weighing 1,540 kilos to that car's 1,310, but also produces substantially more horsepower at 565 brake horsepower to that car's measly 493 brake horsepower. So now we have an old and new GT3R, a 911 RSR, the slightly higher performing GTE car, but also older than this new one and newer than the old one, as well as being a free edition where the previous one was paid. And we have all the road cars as well, so it's definitely not confusing at all. This new race car should in theory be faster than most other Porsches in the game, apart from the RSR potentially, around a circuit at least. But what about in a drag race? To find out, I jumped into the GT3 RS from the playlist a couple of weeks ago so that SuperTree could use the new GT3R, and we proceeded with said drag race.
The Porsche is winning!
Wait, so after all of these decades of development,
on your right,
they're still all slower than the original.
Yes.
Rather unsurprisingly, the new GT3R wasn't the fastest in the straight line, even when compared to a very, very old Porsche 911. Anyway, to be fair to the race car, we then set up a circuit race at one of SuperTree's custom routes. However, this ended up being rather chaotic, so I'm not sure we really learned anything at all. Here at least though, the new race car was victorious in the end, and with that, back to the festival to see what, if any, options are available on this racer. So, being a race car, there's not going to be that many options for paint or upgrades or anything, although as you have seen from the little plus symbol, there is some advanced painting options. This though is the only manufacturer paint scheme livery. If you paint it a plain colour, the livery then disappears, which I have to say looks kind of cool in the black. Quickly to show you though, Group 1 in black, Group 2 in white, and Group 3 in orange. That's what the main body paint groups look like. Then if we go to the bonnet, Group 1 is like the main bit, and Group 2 is the insidey bit. This is going to look absolutely ridiculous by the time I'm finished, isn't it? That now looks absolutely ridiculous, but there's many painting groups and things you could do with those options, I suppose. For mine, though, I'm just going to revert it to the standard livery, because, to be honest, that probably looks the best. So, although there was tons of advanced painting options, there was only one manufacturer paint scheme, which is kind of to be expected, and again, here in the upgrade shop, there's not loads. You can put quite a substantial number of different engines in, but they are all essentially, apart from the Racing V12, flat sixes and the 918 engine. But yeah, they're basically all Porsche engines and then a V12, and you can also all-wheel drive swap it. Then you have your tyre compounds, although it's already on slicks, so anything else will make it have less grip. You can do your tyre width and your track width, as well as changing the wheels. This is all pretty standard stuff. You can do your gearbox, driveline and differential, as well as brakes, suspension, and strangely, weight reduction, which brings weight down to 1,258 kilos, which actually, for a race car, sounds kind of heavy. And over in the engine, there's only one thing you can do. You can put no restrictor plate or remove restrictor plate, which surely is the same thing. Anyway, that can put your power up to 784 brake horsepower on this standard engine. Oh no, the PI is 933. No, we can't do that. As the new 911R is right near the top of S1 class, rated at 890 from standard, to start with we left them stock and headed into some dreaded S1 class open races. We joined in time for the second race of a series at the Riviera Sprint, being given rather good grid spots up in second and third. However, this didn't last very long, quickly finding ourselves near the back. Supertree and I did gain some places back, I though had a very unnecessary accident and dropped all the way back to 8th place. The third and final race in this set was in the rain and contained a certain K1Z Bard in a much better tuned version of this car, upgraded to the top of S1 class. Here I again fell pretty much to the back, and then throughout the race regained several places, this time reaching as high as 4th and not throwing it all away like in the previous race, so at least that was a kind of half okay finish. Although the Porsche was by no means bad stock, having seen Bard racing an upgraded one, I went and applied his tune. This brought power up to 750 brake horsepower and weight down to 1,289 kilos. I then rejoined for the second race of the next set of races, again at the Riviera Sprint, this time the game giving me a rather lovely pole position though. This race at Riviera was far more of a success than in the first set, and I managed another 4th place finish. The third and final race in this set was again at the Bahia de Plano circuit, much like it was before. For this one I really wasn't concentrating as hard as I should have been though, so I drove absolutely dismally and finished all the way down in a rather terrible 5th position. By the end of this set of races, everyone else in the convoy had given up on racing this car. I though headed into one more set. As with the third and final race in the previous set though, I really wasn't paying enough attention to my driving, and everything went awfully wrong, so I actually left after the first 2 races, and that was kind of that. I still then don't really have a very clear idea of how good this car actually is. It seemed reasonable to race stock, and fairly decent on pace when upgraded, but I don't think it's near enough to some of the ridiculously fast cars that we have in S1 class to be useful, which is sort of the problem in general with the class as a whole, and why we don't really do much S1 class open. At this point then, I will be reverting the car back to stock. That though is going to do it for today's video, taking a very first look at the brand new Porsche 911 GT3R here in Forza Horizon 5. Yes, it does kind of seem sort of similar to the other 2 911 race cars we already had in the game, but one of them is of course the RSR GTE car, and one of them is substantially older. It's more kind of annoying that that older 911R was introduced through a paid pack if they were going to bring this into the game further down the line like they have. But anyway, it was kind of time to add some more race cars, I suppose, and some newer ones, because the ones in that pack were quite outdated by the time they were introduced to the game. From standard, it of course drives very well. It is a racing car, but as you'd expect, there isn't really many options in terms of, well, manufacturer colours or upgrades over in the upgrade shop. Over in S1 Class Racing, it wasn't brilliant, stock, or upgraded, but it wasn't bad either. Just, as I said, S1 Class, everyone goes with the super quick stuff, so you're never going to do terribly well driving something like this, but I was kind of happy to manage a couple of 4th place finishes at best. As ever though, do let me know your thoughts on this brand new addition to Forza Horizon 5, but for today's video, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.